Welcome back into the Cowboys Report for the second time today. Some news from the Combine, plus Mel Kiper Mock Draft reaction. Stephen Jones gave us updates on Terence Steele, Tyron Smith, Mike McCarthy, franchise tag plans, Dak Prescott, drafting running back, and a whole lot more. So make sure you watch the entirety of today's video as we begin with the Mel Kiper Mock Draft that came out this morning. Before we get to the pick itself, some notable players off the board. Quentin Johnston goes one pick before Dallas. Wonder if they'd work the phones to go up there and get a deal with Jacksonville to snipe the Giants. Lucas Van Ness, one of the better edge rushers this year. Two corners beyond the big names of like Joey Porter Jr., Devin Witherspoon, etc. Deontay Banks, Emmanuel Forbes. Jordan Addison also off the board, plus Zay Flowers. So you kind of picked over at receiver and cornerback. So Mel Kiper goes offense, but maybe not the one you would expect. Dalton Kincaid, the tight end out of Utah, was the pick here for Mel Kiper in the back end of round one for the Dallas Cowboys. As a pure pass catcher, I think Kincaid is the best one at tight end in this year's class. He's very much more in the big slot model than he is like the more prototypical Cowboys inline tight end. The numbers don't lie. I mean, he had 890 yards at Utah and 70 catches is elite production for a tight end. He cooked USC repeatedly despite everyone knowing the ball was going to Kincaid there. Great pass catcher. He tracks the ball well. He gets open well. Only 2 career drops in his entire career. Wins contested catches. I think he's more of a good athlete than a bad athlete. Is dealing with a back injury right now that cost him Combine. He's going to be 24 as a rookie. He's not the biggest tight end, and I don't love him as a blocker. From a pure player value perspective, I think that late first round range is fair for Dalton Kincaid. The problem is, do you need a tight end? Aren't you okay riding with Jake Ferguson, Peyton Hendershot, Sean McEwen, and then drafting somebody else in one of the most loaded tight end classes I can ever recall? I mean, Kiper had 4 guys in round 1. I think he wanted to stuff them all in there. You can wait till day 3 and get another potential Ferguson or Schultz-esque player. I believe the Cowboys would be more likely to wait on a tight end. Also worth noting is some of the other guys on the board. Bijan Robinson, who we'll talk about him later on in the show. Broderick Jones, Osiris Torrence, 2 offensive linemen. If you want speed at receiver, Jalin Hyatt was there. Cam Smith was maybe the next best corner. And Brian Branch didn't go in round 1. You guys know I love me a good safety. If you don't pay Donovan Wilson, Brian Branch will once again be the safety the Cowboys won't take. They probably won't get there anyway, that I really want them to end up with. But specifically for the Kincaid pick, then more news coming. Grade it for me. A, B, C, D, or F in the comments section. If the ad break comes here on YouTube, take advantage of it. Head down there and get your grades in. Let's move to the updates from Stephen Jones today at the NFL Combine. He says Terence Steele is ahead of schedule in rehab now. Look, they're always ahead of schedule, right? That's how it always goes. But I do know that Steele is already in the rehab process. He's already kind of recovered from that surgery, and he's been in that phase for a couple weeks now. And the noteworthy part is that Stephen thinks Steele will be back in time for training camp, which might be a bit of an overly optimistic timeline, but I think he should be back at some point for the preseason week 1. Terence Steele actually played really well for Dallas last year, and the ground game definitely missed him out there. And he is an RFA. He'll probably apply the first-round tender, take care of that, maybe get a long-term deal done. But if you got some scar tissue from the Michael Gallup situation, I understand that. If Steele is ready week 1, I think you feel pretty good about your tackle situation between Tyler Smith and Terence Steele, and potentially Tyron Smith, who we will get into here in a moment. But first, today's show is sponsored by Fume. We all have bad habits, and we certainly know how hard it can be to kick those bad habits. Our sponsor, Fume, is on a mission to accelerate humanity's breakup from the bad habits that consume far too many of us. Fume is a natural diffusive device that uses plants and behavioral science to help you trade out of your negative habit for a positive one. I didn't expect much from Fume when I got it, but it's a powerful minty sensation, and it's enjoyable. It's also worth mentioning Fume is not a vape. It's a non-electronic device designed to transform your negative habits, and the Journey Pack comes with 3 unique flavors for you to enjoy: maple pepper, white cranberry, and crisp mint. White cranberry is my preferred one. The easiest way to stop a bad habit is to go switch to a positive one. And Fume is designed perfectly to do just that. Head to tryfume.com/chatsports and use code chatsports. Save 10% off when you get the Journey Pack today. That's tryfum.com/chatsports and use code chatsports. Save an additional 10% off your order today. Links in the comment section and the description, plus the promo code of today's video. To Tyron Smith now we go, as the Cowboys, again, this time Steven, saying that they expect Tyron Smith to return. They're comfortable with his contract. I'm still not fully buying this quite yet. We'll break down the contract stuff here. Tyron Smith, as Steven is correct to point out, is the ultimate team player and said, I can play right tackle for you with Terence Steele hurt. It didn't go that great. Objectively speaking, Terence Steele outplayed Tyron Smith this past year. And the numbers in the contract, I actually don't love that much. A $17.6 million cap hit for a guy that could very well end up being your swing if he's back. If you go get a new left guard and you have Tyler Smith play left tackle, it's too much money. A lot of cap savings if you cut him. Cap savings with a restructure as well. I would like to get Tyron Smith's number down. I would be open to a fake extension to make that happen to an extent, give him a bit more guaranteed money. I still wouldn't rule out the possibility of Tyron retiring. I don't think he's going to play anywhere else. I think it's kind of Dallas or bust for him. So maybe a pay cut is still on the cards, and maybe Steven's playing nice with Tyron publicly as the backroom dealings get going over the next couple of days at the Combine. So do you want Tyron Smith back in Dallas for this upcoming season? You can be honest with me. 1 for yes, you do. Give him at least 1 more year. 0 for it's time to move on. Mike McCarthy next up here. Stephen Jones revealed, as Stephen was talkative today, that Mike McCarthy approached them about calling the plays. He initiated the conversation. And Stephen said, look, he's the head coach, so we went with it. Now, this was, I think, at some level always assumed of like, well, it's not like the Cowboys forced out Kellen the way the Joneses feel about him. This was the likely reality that Mike wanted to take over play calling, and it puts a tremendous amount of pressure on McCarthy moving forward. It's all on his shoulders. If this works, if the offense, as Mike and Steven have said, do get a little bit better, a little bit more consistent, Mike, deservedly so, is going to get the credit. It'll mean good things for the Cowboys. We'll all be thrilled. If it doesn't go well, the offense was still pretty damn good with Dak and Kellen. If it isn't as good with Mike and Kellen, only one thing changed, and it would probably be your head coach standpoint there. So what is your confidence level in Mike McCarthy being the play caller moving forward for Dallas? Scale this for me from 1 to 10. 1 on the low end, 10 on the high end. While you're down there voting, make sure you guys are subscribed. Free videos every single day. Hit that sub button, youtube.com/@CowboysTV. You're getting 2 videos today, and you're going to get multiple more throughout the week. Dak Prescott, once again, on the menu here. The Cowboys, per Steven, have not yet spoken with Dak's agent about a deal, but continues to say the goal is to eventually get one done. It's also worth mentioning here, there's really a no-trade clause, a basic no-franchise tag clause here either. So he's got this year, next year. You don't want to let it get to next year if he's your guy, because he will bend you over a barrel worse than his agent did last time. Stephen Jones had this to say when asked about the timing. I haven't talked to him yet. My bet is there's not going to be a lot said about it. We'll wake up one day and it'll be done. Okay, press X to doubt. No, the Cowboys don't do easy contracts. They don't have no conversation and boom, it's done. When was the last time they did that? Tyron Smith, maybe? All those years ago, one of the best contracts in NFL history? That was a great deal for Dallas, so under market. That's not what the Cowboys do. They don't get things done easily. They lowball. They haggle back and forth. They drag it out. They wait. They do the wrong guy too early. They don't do easy contracts. If it is easy, that'll be great. It'd be nice to have urgency and a proper handling of a big-time contract done for the first time in a long time. Should do it with CeeDee Lamb too, by the way. But I have to believe that, or see that before I believe it. Excuse me, I will get full Patrick Mahomes there. So will the Cowboys extend Dak Prescott? Let's say this offseason. Y for yes, N for no. Sound off in the comment section. the last of what was that's a long show, right? How about drafting a running back in round 1? Now, Stephen Jones had a bunch of thoughts on this here. So the Cowboys aren't opposed to taking a running back in round 1. Now, he mentioned that if you're taking a player in the top half of round 1, which is think of it as your first round grade, you're hoping to get a player who's going to be here or in Dallas for 10 years, which you're not going to get out of Zeke because he's entering year 8 and he's not what he once was there. The other side of it is what also was mentioned by Steven was the conversation of, look, we're not going to rule out really any positions. Kicker is not a position, so it doesn't count. If the right guy is there. That to me reads as Bijan Robinson. If Bijan Robinson's there in round 1, I do think the Cowboys would take him because he would be the highest player on their board. Bijan's an awesome player, very special running back. It does come down to positional value. 7 years ago, maybe, he's a top 5 pick. We're talking about how the Bears are going to take a trade down. Teams are going to trade up for a quarterback, and a team like the Cardinals are going to take Bijan at number 3 overall. That's a couple years ago, 7 years ago. The game has drastically changed. And oh, by the way, this running back class is loaded. I'm talking double-digit guys are going to have borderline top 100 or fourth round or better grades. And then you got double-digit potential rotation starters. It's a loaded class. You don't have to go running back early. You can wait if you want to. I do think the Cowboys will most likely, we'll see what happens with Zeke and Pollard, but I think it's Pollard's tagged. Zeke's not back. If he is, vet minimum, still does not rule out a potential draft pick there. I think they'll look running back at some point in the draft. It's too good of a class not to. Same with tight end. I just would prefer if they didn't do that in round 1.